Hi, I'm Rob from the Global Society and welcome to this episode of A Life That Travels. And today I'm with Sonia Paraleka, who has got a really awesome story
Yeah, thanks.
about overseas study and travel and all that. But before we get into that, what did you do at uni?
Yeah, so I studied at the University of New South Wales, where I studied a Bachelor of Commerce and I majored in Information Systems and Management. So I was there for 4 years, and as part of my degree, I got to go on exchange, got to intern at different places. It was a great time there.
Awesome. It's always nice when you get to the end of a degree, isn't
It
it?
is awesome. I graduated last year, and it's just been amazing to be able to use the stuff I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just to be done with exams
So,
and assignments.
before we get on, do you know like that last semester of uni, did you have that? Did you have like just the kind of like, let me out of here?
Yeah, 100%,
Feeling.
100%. I mean, my last couple of exams, my heart was not in it. I
Yeah.
was ready to go. It was great.
And so what are you doing now? What have you
Yeah.
left uni to go on to?
Yeah, so I now work as a management consultant with AT Kearney, Australia. So it's been, pretty different to university, but it's been a great job so far.
Tell me about that process of like getting out of uni and finding this job and getting into that.
Yeah, so I was really lucky in that as part of my degree, I got to intern at various companies. And AT Kearney were one of the companies I interned with as part of my degree. So it was a really easy transition for me in terms of I already knew the company, I knew the people, and I really enjoyed working there. And so I sort of got that off the back of my internship. So for me, it was more of a easy transition.
Nice. What's it like? I mean, would you recommend doing internship? I didn't do an internship at university,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it seems like it's like something that people
I
are keen on.
would 100% recommend doing an internship. Not only do you get real life experience, do you sort of see what it's like doing the work that you sort of see yourself doing in the future, but it just makes your life in terms of getting a graduate job or looking for other opportunities, that's so much easier. So there's no stress. In my last year of university, I was super relaxed because I already had this job in Kearney lined up.
Nice.
And you just learn so much, you get to meet so many different people. So if there's one thing I would recommend, apart from exchange, it's to do an internship.
Epic. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about exchange.
Yeah.
So, you were a recipient of the New Colombo Plan
Yes.
scholarship, which is a big deal. Tell me what that is. What is
Yes.
the New Colombo Plan
Yeah,
scholarship?
so the New Colombo Plan Scholarship, it's a signature Australian government initiative. It's all about linking Australian undergrads with our region. Our region is so important to our future, so it's about getting undergrads work ready, culturally sensitive, and just ready to explore and engage with the region. So as part of my scholarship, I got to intern overseas. I got to intern in 2 different countries, and then I got to also study abroad in Malaysia.
Amazing. Where did you intern?
Yeah, so I was lucky and I got a scholarship and a mobility grant. So as part of my scholarship, I interned in Singapore with PwC in the management consulting field,
Nice.
which definitely ties into what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And then as part of my mobility grant, I interned in Hong Kong with CK Hutchinson, which I was told is like the most Hong Kong company you can ever get. So
Wow.
great to get that cultural
Cool.
experience.
And so how did that fit into like your degree back at UNSW?
Yeah. So my mobility grant in Hong Kong, that directly gave me credits towards my degree. So it was a full subject for me. So I had to do one as subject when I got back home. So that was great to get credits as well as to learn. And then in terms of my Singapore internship, I had a university break between uni in Australia and uni starting in Malaysia. So I just got the time to squeeze it in there. So it didn't extend my degree at all. I didn't add any extra time on top. It fit really nicely in
Awesome.
with the timetable here.
You've mentioned mobility grants as well as scholarship.
Yes.
What's the difference
The
between those
difference?
two things?
Yeah, so a scholarship is usually for longer term exchange, so you can take it from 6 months up until 18 months.
Okay.
As part of that, you have to study, and then you also have the opportunity to do an internship or a mentorship. Whereas the mobility grants are usually shorter term exchanges
Okay.
run through the university. So the scholarship, so to backtrack a bit, the scholarship you apply to your university, and
Right.
then you also apply to the Australian government, and you go through a whole interview process in Canberra. Whereas with the mobility grant, it's directly for your university, and that's usually for like 2 to 4 weeks
Okay.
overseas experience.
Cool. So it sounds like there's kind of an opportunity in there for a lot of students then.
Exactly. So there's no excuse to sort of say you only have a week or 2 weeks and you don't have the time to do it, because the mobility grant and the scholarship both allow you to do exchange or overseas exposure depending on how much time you have. So it's great. There's no excuse for that at all.
So what was it like when, so you've been to a whole bunch of different countries around the region. Were you already kind of interested in Asia Pacific, Indo-Pacific kind of area before these kind of scholarship stuff came along?
Yeah, so I was always interested in the Indo-Pacific just because they are our closest neighbors. But to be honest with you, I wasn't interested in going on exchange there to begin with. I think being in university, everyone wants to go to the US, everyone wants to go to the UK, and for me, I sort of just had that as what I would do. But the scholarship, I think, really showed me the importance our country places on the region, and then also the importance the region has on my future career. Because I think everything that we do in Australia, and especially in the business world, it's very closely linked with what's happening in China, what's happening in India, what's happening in the countries around us. So scholarship really sort of pushed me into the direction of going to the region, and then I haven't looked back since. So that's really cool.
Why Malaysia?
Why Malaysia? Yeah, interesting. So
is that what they asked you on your scholarship interview panel?
Yeah, everyone was like, why? Everyone asked me that. Everyone is like, why did you go to Malaysia? Super random country, right? Like, just not something you'd go to.
No, but amazing once you've been there, yeah. But
best thing I've ever, best decision ever. So when I decided to apply for the scholarship, I wanted to work in Singapore. That was my one thing. But I wanted to get exposure to a culture I didn't have prior experience with. And I think Malaysia was a country which I just didn't know a lot about, and I had this opportunity to go and learn and see a whole new world. And so for me, going somewhere that was sort of off the beaten track was really what I wanted to do. So I decided to go to Malaysia because you hear so much stuff about it, but it wasn't somewhere I'd go on a holiday or whatever. So for me, it was more of a try something different, try something new, see what's there to offer.
Where does that curiosity come from for you? So why are you curious?
Yeah, I am a big believer that knowledge is power. It just helps you to further your interests, open your mind, broaden your horizons. And so for me, I've just always been curious about what's around me, because that then allows me to find new opportunities and experience new cultures and new experiences as well. So yeah, I think that's where it comes from, I just think. And I also just think it's prior experience as well, right? So getting exposure to cool new things I would otherwise not have had exposure to has opened doors for me that I otherwise wouldn't know. And so that sort of just like snowballs into an effect, and you just want to keep doing that.
What kind of doors?
Yeah, well, so that's a good question. So so for example, even through the New Colombo plan, right, I've had the opportunity to do so many things. I got to represent Australia at the ASEAN Young Leaders Summit in KL. I mean, that's awesome. That got to meet some of the coolest young leaders of the region. I'm still in touch with a lot of them today. So that was really cool. I got to go to the Australian ASEAN Special Summit in Sydney. That was another door that just opened up because of my exchange in Malaysia. And then also just in terms of the personal connections you meet, you get to meet some really cool people who you would otherwise not meet. So I mean, I'm going to Thailand next year to stay with one of my friends from exchange for a month, to stay with her in her house, and that's such a cool thing to do.
Free accommodation. It's always a win, right?
It's great, right? And, of course, exactly, right? I say this to everyone. Because of my exchange in Malaysia, I could now travel pretty much anywhere in our region and get free accommodation. Stay with people, and I know people there, right? So, and everyone's so welcoming. It's just amazing. And likewise, when they come to Australia, I would definitely let them stay with me.
And that just makes me think about what that gives you going forward. That must give you kind of like quite a lot of confidence about, if you wanted to go work anywhere, right? Any of these other countries, it's like you've already sort of
I have a network there.
You've got your networks already started.
100%. It's no longer scary for me to go overseas, especially to Asia, because I know so many people there. I'm comfortable. It's like a second home. So yeah, it's great.
Tell me about Malaysia. I mean, I've been to KL. I've hung out in KL for a little while. Been a little bit around KL, but not much else. So, what's it like to spend time in Malaysia?
Malaysia is awesome. So I'll start with a stereotype that I had before going to Malaysia. So before I went to Malaysia, I assumed it was very conservative. I just had this idea that it was very secular and not as, I guess, conventionally fun as Europe would be, or those other sort of countries. But Malaysia is the complete opposite of that. It's multicultural, many religions. It's not conservative at all, especially in KL, especially in the cities, and the people are just so welcoming. So it's just a great environment to be in. Awesome food. I think the food in KL is just amazing. I miss it so much. So we used to go at like 3 a.m. and they have mamak shops like all around KL and all around Malaysia, and the food there, like roti canai.
What's mamak?
So mamak are like,
If you haven't.
Yeah. So mamak are like, I don't know. So I describe them as cafes or small roadside cafes where you get things like tandoori chicken and roti canai, and they have something called teh tarik, which is like a condensed milk drink, which is probably really bad for you, but just super yum. And they have them all over KL, and so it's a very communal place. Food is something that brings everyone together. Some great food, great culture. I traveled around Malaysia. They have some great scenery. It's just a cool place that I don't think a lot of people realize what it has to offer until you actually get to go there.
And what was the highlight there for you?
The highlight of my time in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's hard to choose one.
Well, let me narrow it down then. The highlight of the culture. Did you have do you have a story or something like that happened where you're just like, oh, this is so freaking amazing,
Yeah. So
or big like awakening, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So when we were in Malaysia, we were there so they had Eid, which was a celebration that celebrated there, and it was really cool because the university I was at, University of Malaya, the international officer who was sort of in charge of us as part of the university, she invited us to her house to celebrate Eid, and it was just the coolest celebration. There were people, we were there, the Australians were there, her family were there, they were people from all these different cultures, her Chinese friends, her Indian friends, we all came together over this big feast that she prepared at home, and it was just such a lovely feeling of this community and everyone getting together and just having fun and appreciating each other's contributions to each other's company. And so I think that's what sums up Malaysian culture. It's everyone's welcome, everyone gets along with everyone. It's just such a warm place to be in. People are just awesome.
And study-wise, was there a study highlight or a work kind of highlight?
Yeah. So the university is, the way they ran things is very different to how it was run in Australia. So that was definitely a new experience in itself. So different to how my courses are run at UNSW, different to how it was taught. The one thing that I did notice in Malaysia that isn't as common in Australia, or wasn't as common for me in my degree, is there were a lot of group assignments, group settings, everything sort of happened in a group, so it wasn't as much individualistic as it is here. So I think an interesting study highlight for me was this idea that in Malaysia, or at least at the university that I was at, studying in a group and presenting in a group was really highly valued, and so most assignments were done in that group setting. And so I think it was all about getting those different perspectives and working as a team, and that wasn't as strongly pushed in Australia in terms of I had a lot of assignments that were individual. So yeah, I think that it was just a different perspective and a different way of teaching and learning.
I would imagine now you're in management consulting, like that style.
It is exactly what
really
we do, right?
helps.
100%. So I mean, in management consulting, everything's done in a team, right? Because it's all about getting those perspectives and working together to come to a solution for your client.
Yeah.
And so, I think it was interesting that in Malaysia they sort of taught to that style, which it's a different perspective again.
Someone thinking of going to Malaysia to do an exchange, what would you tell them? Was there something that kind of surprised you, or some kind of key piece of advice for someone thinking of going
so
there?
the first thing is I'd say do it. Go on exchange. A lot of people are sort of hesitant.
You need to do that to the camera and be like, do it.
You need to do it, okay? You have to go to Malaysia. Everyone's super hesitant about going to Malaysia. Best time ever, okay? I would go to Malaysia 100 times again for exchange, okay? It's so much fun. you go out, you enjoy the culture, you have a nightlife as well. It's just great, right? Key piece of advice I would say is to keep an open mind and don't give up. So in Malaysia, I guess admin does take longer than it does in
Bureaucracy
Australia.
is insane,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It really is. And there are lots of points where you might feel like giving up because things aren't just coming through. I mean, you'd ask for course outlines and the university just won't send it, or it takes months to get your visa approved. So I mean, bureaucracy is big there, and there's something called like Malaysian time. So people take their time to get back to you. It's not as fast as you might expect it to be. So my other key piece of advice is to so go with the flow and know that it will work out. Everything works out in Malaysia somehow. You know what? They take their time doing it, but it all comes to a head and it all works out, right? So don't give up.
That's pretty important to some extent because, you know, there's a difference between bureaucracy, which is like just things working through the system, and obstructionism,
Yes.
where it's kind of like, just because I have a little bit of power, I'm going to tell you no.
Yeah.
Which is like the worst thing in the world. So that's, quite different.
Yeah, it's slow. That's all.
Yeah.
But so don't let that phase you.
It is such a cool country, isn't it? Because it's one of those places I think that it's off the radar for a lot of Australians,
Yes.
but yet
Yeah.
can get everywhere in English.
Yes.
As you say, super friendly,
100%, yeah.
cost effective,
Yeah,
close
so
to
cheap.
home,
What more could you want?
home to Air Asia.
Yeah, that is so true. Which best flights ever, super cheap.
Tell me about
you
Air
can go
Asia.
anywhere. You can go anywhere with Air Asia. Super cheap flights. They fly everywhere. Like
What?
literally, they fly to Australia as well. To be honest, like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great country, and yeah, like you said, so underrepresented. Very underrepresented.
I'd like to move on. Like, let's talk more about your internships in Singapore and Hong
Yeah.
Kong. What's it like to have a working experience in? Let's start with Hong Kong. What's it like working in Hong Kong?
Yeah, it is very different to what. Okay, I wouldn't say very. So, it's different to working in Australia. I think culture plays a much bigger part in a Hong Kong company than it does in Australia. But it's really cool. It's cool to see those differences. And it's just, a different dynamic. Because I'd already interned in Australia, so I sort of had prior knowledge as to how internships worked here and how companies operated here. And so to go to Hong Kong and see those differences was really interesting. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any advice for somebody
For-
who's thinking
yeah.
of going and doing that kind of experience?
Yeah, so my first one would be just do some research before you go. I think cultural sensitivities do play a part.
And let's face it, like Australians are typically pretty bad when it comes to that sort of
We-
stuff.
yeah,
we're
we
a
are.
little bit like go through the world.
Yeah,
with
we
blinkers on.
something. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We think the world sort of works like how it does. Yeah, and like Australia, like it's very relaxed here compared to what it is. So even so, like a story, right? So even I still remember in Hong Kong, we were like in this meeting room. We were all sitting down, and like a senior manager walked into the room, and everyone automatically stood up except for us. Because I think in Australia, no one really stands up when your own sort of manager walks in. But for them, it was like very.
Differential, yeah.
Yeah, for them it's a cultural of significance to look up to those
Yeah.
who are more seniors and stuff like that. It's just things small things that really affected. Yeah.
What's that
Singapore is a very interesting case study too, because I see Singapore is sort of like a melting pot of all these different cultures. There's so many expats in Singapore, but it still has this underlying sort of Singaporean feel to working there. Singapore was great. I really enjoyed working there. My team was very multicultural. So it was like I was Australian and my manager was Australian, but then I had Singaporeans, had people from Amsterdam on my team, had people from France on my team. So it was just a very like European, Australian, Asian mix. And Singapore, yeah, it's again just a different way of working. They definitely put in a lot into their work, a lot of hours. Really different perspectives in terms of how they approach problems. So for them, Singapore's, it's very different, a lot more methodical than it is Australia at times. But again, it's something that you have to experience. And it's really hard to sort of say or describe the differences, because a lot of it is sort of soft differences or innate differences, and I think you need to go there and you need to see.
What do you mean by soft differences? Do you mean like the way that people sit at the table?
Yeah,
or
the way people sit at the table, the way people interact with each other, it's just, I think, small mannerisms that are hard to describe, but when you're there, they're quite obvious because they're different to what you do in Australia. It's things that you take for granted here that when you go overseas to a different culture, all of a sudden they become so vivid and they become so different, and they stand out, and you just realize that Australians have mannerisms and different sort of ways of doing things, and it's for you think it's universal, but then you go overseas and you realize it's not.
Has that awareness, because it's almost like you've got Superman vision now, right?
Yeah,
For this kind of
in a
culture
way
stuff.
it is, yeah.
How helpful has that been?
Super helpful. So I mean, like even now when you meet, because Australia is so much culture. You meet people in Australia. I go to business meetings, and you meet people who may not be from Australia, and so all of a sudden you are just more hyper aware of that. And that's not just with Asia. That's with Europe as well, and the US, and I think every country has its nuances, and so all of a sudden you become a lot more aware about the fact that not everyone has the same experiences or same background as you do. So I think you take that extra step to go out of your way to sort of make sure that they are across what you're saying. You guys are communicating in the same language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk about where you are now. So you've had this international study
Yeah.
experience, work experience.
Yes.
How important has that been for you in this, because you're pretty new, first year,
Yeah,
really?
first year, yeah.
What impact has that had for you, do you feel, in that kind of first 12 months of your career?
Yeah. So, I mean, firstly, it allows you to just connect with people, right? So, Ichikani is a very international firm as well, and so all of a sudden when I talk to our colleagues in KL or I talk to our colleagues in Singapore, I just have that personal connection that allows me to build that relationship with them, and they appreciate it just as much as I do, and so it really allows me to sort of take our relationship to the next level. That's the first one. The second thing as well is because of my international experience, I wanted to join a global firm because I think I now know that I want to travel and I want to experience new cultures and sort of, be a part of that bridge between Australia and Asia. And so it definitely influenced my choice of workplace because I wanted to join somewhere where I'd be able to go overseas and work on projects overseas and really expand my horizons even more than what I already had.
Is that part of the plan?
100%. So I mean,
Expat somewhere?
Definitely. I am definitely going to try and go overseas for a bit and work overseas because it's changed me so much already. So I'm so excited to know how much more of a positive experience it's going to be if I go again. So yeah, definitely.
And tell me about, so you're, I guess, quite unique because you already had the job lined up
Yes.
before you finished uni, but
Yes.
how important was that kind of international extracurricular experience in getting your foot in the door for those kind of opportunities to do it?
I think it's crucial. Employers now, even more so than before, I think they want an all-rounded person who is just more aware and has difference of thought and new perspectives. And the more exposure you have and the more you're able to draw on those experiences, I think that's what employers are looking for, right? It's not just a mark anymore, right? No one really, yes, you need a mark, so that minimum mark, but after that, it's all about what you can bring to the table. And I think international exposure is one of the most valuable things you can bring to a table.
How many people do get a new Colombo Plan scholarship every year?
So I think the scholarship is around 100 to 120 every year. And then within that, you can go to a whole heap of different countries.
Cool.
So, and I think that's another thing, right? I think a lot of people don't think they'll get it, and so they don't apply because they think it's limited, or they don't think the country that they want to go to is offered. But you never know unless you apply. So
Yeah.
that's like the other thing as well. It's very achievable. It's very achievable to get. That's what I want to say. Very
Nice.
achievable. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I must say, this is going to have a pretty awesome impact because I can see you're hungry. Like I can see you're
Yeah.
let me out there and
Exactly, and you don't realize that until you get to go.
Yeah.
So there's so much opportunity, and it opens doors. That's the one thing.
Do you have like something in the distance with your career that you're aiming for? I mean, are you looking like one day I'd love to be a CEO, one day I'd love to be,
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't have a position I'm aiming for. For me, something that I've always aimed for just personally and I think also professionally is just, like I said earlier, just to get new experiences. So for me, I want to try new things.
Yeah.
So my next one is to just go overseas, and that's sort of my next long-term goal, to really go overseas. But there's no real, position as such I'm looking for, just to make a difference and to really, I guess, something that I am really passionate about since going to Asia is just to open that connection between Australia and Asia. So
Yeah.
this is another thing.
Why?
Because I think it's so important. I think nowadays people are beginning to realize it more than they used to, but our relationship with our region is key to our economic prosperity, our future, everything that we do now is so closely linked to that of our region. And so to be a part of that and sort of open those perspectives up, I think that's so important. That's what creates a great world, right? When everyone understands each other and is part of that, and to expose others to that would be great.
So it sounds like this is like a really intelligent use of public money then to actually
I could not think of
increase our engagement with the region.
100% is. I mean, we're creating future young Australian leaders, right? Future leaders from young Australians who are just going to go out there and just be that much more culturally aware and that much more aware of the possibilities and opportunities that are available, not just to themselves, but also to Australia as a whole. That's what you want, right? We're planning for our future. So I just think it's a great use of money. Can't think of anything more useful to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think at this stage, I think if you look at how much money goes into a scholarship for an individual, but what that pays back over a lifetime, and public money is about return on investment. You have to look after the people, but then if a scholarship scheme should be an investment.
I think a lot of people see it as just investing in a student's experience.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's so much more than that. You're not investing in the exchange or the internship. You're investing in the people they're going to talk to when they come back to Australia, the bridges they'll make. And also, I think you're also investing in the places they go to, the people they meet. They'll now have this new perspective of Australians and Australia as a whole. So you're investing in our image overseas as well, which is invaluable.
100% agree. When are you next going on a plane? What's the next trip?
I'm going to India next week.
Oh, nice.
Which is great. That's going to be super fun. So going there for a couple months, and then I'm going to Thailand after that.
Have you got like a map up on your wall that you're just like
ticking up countries? That's literally, I need to do that. That's a great point. I'm gonna get that done. Yeah, I need to do that.
I bought one on the internet actually years ago, which is like a scratchy one, like the instant lottery scratchies.
Oh, and you can scratch
you scratch off a country.
Cool. I like it.
I mean, she just needs to do a stopover in Russia at some point just to
scratch
off
half the one. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you want to go to countries with high land masses, right?
That's right.
Just to get across it. Yeah, I like it. That's so good.
Sonia, it's been so good to chat with you. Thanks for your time.
Likewise, thank you so much.
A real pleasure. And maybe at some point in future, after you come back from India and Thailand and what have you, we can check in again. And
that sounds
see where
great.
You're going.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. So that's it. I'll drop in details about where you can find Sonia, and I'll see you next time on Life of Travel. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you.